one for you special.
Yeah, but I don't have to stay anyway.
Good evening, 7:30, I don't know, 7:32. Wednesday, we're at a legislative session. We're going to start with the pledge and we'll go into the meeting.
Trustee Fritchie,
Present.
Trustee White,
Present.
Trustee Casada,
Present.
and Mayor Levin.
Present.
Public hearing in the matter of a proposed local law 2024 entitled the Local Law Amending Chapter 162, Article 8, Housing, Property Maintenance and Building Code Administration, Vacant Building Registry for the Village of Austin Code. Is there anyone on our in Zoom world that would like to talk on that subject?
There is not.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor and trustee announcements.
Okay, you all right there? Need some water? Okay.
I'm
All
fine.
right. Okay. So let me start. Dana, do you have any announcements? Okay, and I know on this side either. Just hello. So I don't have any announcements. Oh, I'm sorry, I do. There is the Green Austining does an annual tag sale. I think there are over 70 houses involved or homes involved in the tag sale. There are signs all over. Please participate. It's just a great way to recycle and upcycle all sorts of stuff from your neighbors. And it's actually just a fun day. So we hope that you participate in that. I certainly will be. And I think that, did you have an announcement? Okay. So I think we're ready to go.
Okay, shall we hold off? Is Jennifer on the, okay, so we're gonna hold off on the presentation for now. Administrative reports, Village Manager Karen Tatori.
Good evening, everyone. We had mentioned last time that we had 26 respondents to our community center design request for proposal at a walkthrough at the community center a few weeks ago. Given the many questions, thoughtful questions we received, we've extended the submission deadline and responses are now due back on Wednesday, May 8th. We also have some good news for people who like ice cream. Penny Lick Ice Cream is working with the building department to get their approvals, and they're planning to open for the season on Saturday, May 11th, just in time for Mother's Day. Starting this summer, they will be taking over the kiosk at Henry Gordine Park to ensure that we have a steady supply of peanut, tree nut, and sesame-free ice cream all season long. And you can follow the village's social media for more details about opening day. Maddie and I had a very interesting and productive conversation with a resident who recently moved to Ossining and threw her hat in the ring to join the Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight, I'd like to officially appoint Corey Block to a vacant alternate position on the Zoning Board of Appeals for the unexpired term ending February 2nd, 2026. Corey has really great experience. She has significant background in land use planning and working with land use boards. She holds a master's in urban planning and is certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. So we look forward to having Corey join the team at the upcoming ZBA meetings later this month. 23 businesses and or building owners from the downtown Main Street district attended a stakeholder meeting regarding the multimodal transportation hub. Our architectural and design engineers for this project presented their concepts on Monday night at the community center, and staff and board, including as well as members of the board, Mayor Levin and Trustee White, were on hand to answer questions and address concerns. We will be publishing a summary of the meeting with a running list of FAQs specific to this project on our website, and we will do that for all subsequent engagement for other projects upcoming through the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, as well as the other projects we're working on. We will be following up with a much broader community engagement session for this project, focusing on design and function functional aspects of the new parking and micromobility facility. And that will probably be held in late May, early June. The multimodal transportation hub will be funded in part with DRA monies for those of you who may be listening in, and that's money we received from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, as well as funding we received from Empire State Development. This project is the linchpin to ensuring adequate parking for current and future use in the Main Street area and to allow for the development of the surface parking lots located at Spring and Main Streets. And finally, after waiting many, many months, all contracts for the DRI projects have been returned and executed from the Department of State. This is an important step towards making the village's DRI projects, the community center renovation, the multimodal transportation hub, and the expansion of Market Square and streetscaping at Station Plaza, all a reality. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions?
I have a question. Thanks, Karen, for that update. I was hoping to have an update in us.
Actually,
have an update for that?
we don't have a formal update, but I have a preliminary update. So originally, the county, I spoke to our director of DP Public Works, and originally we were supposed to go to the end of James. And there were some budget shortfalls through the CDBG funds at the county, so they stopped at State Street. However, we will be applying, we will be coming back to the board with a briefing on this. The next round of CDBG funding is due in August, and we'll be coming back for, we want to do Lower James, that part of James, Breakneck Hill, or the paper street that extends from James Street to Hunter Street. We're also looking at putting money in for streetscaping on Maple Place. And I'm trying to, pardon me? TBD. Yes. And we have a fourth project, yes, TBD. So to be continued. We might ask again for more streetscaping to Sparta. Originally, they were concerned that we didn't meet the conditions weren't bad enough. I actually think we can make the case that they are, and certainly by the time we get funded for it, they may very well be. So we will be putting in, and we're hopeful. The priority project will be Lower James, and the paper street, and what's currently known as Breakneck Hill. That will be our priority.
That's good news in a way. I guess I would like to know in regards to budget. It was originally part of the design. What was the budget? If it was part of the CVT portion of that, should have been included. That's irrelevant in a way.
The way that the funding was, they keep the funding within a certain amount. So
We got less than what we were supposed.
no, we got what we would, but they won't give more than $200,000 a project, which means the total projects can't be above $400,000. So
I'm not talking about the lower. But anyway,
that's, we should be able, I just, the details are like, we can only get funded for what they'll
that's
give
fine.
us funding
I
for.
think
So
there's more clarification than that, but the part that I like it. Actually. It's a question that I have is because maybe at some project that happened with part of their approval for that particular project. They were supposed to give money to do that. So
we had given that thought. Right now, the likelihood of the current site plan being, sold and approved, that's not going to happen. There are considerable amount of things that can be done in that area. And we actually thought that by doing, getting funding to do this, because one, we don't want to wait any longer. It really,
I disagree with that.
it could be 10 years down the road at this point. We don't know. Two, if we take that off the table, then there's many other things that we can use to fill that gap in that immediate area that could be also give backs for the development. So, and that includes the rehabilitation of the Smith Robinson House, other things that maybe now we do have several we have had some interest, and we will be reporting back on that, once we get more information. There is one development firm that's interested in doing a home ownership program there. And so there's going to be other opportunity. We really want to make sure that we prioritize this particular section because it's probably one of the most critical infrastructure improvement, streetscaping improvement things that we need. And we were really supposed to do it probably 10, as you well know, like 10 years ago. So
Oh,
I think we'll
looking
make
forward
up
to hearing
for it
that
in
for
other
sure.
ways for
Yeah,
whatever the next
definitely.
developer is.
Thanks.
Corporation
Yeah,
Council.
we're gonna,
Sorry.
Ms. Cabrera's here, so if you don't mind, we just, we jumped ahead, but since you're here now, and then we'll bring you forward. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, and I apologize for being late. The parking situation is not the same as it is on Tuesdays when we usually down here.
There's an event across the way, that's why.
Oh, that explains it. So thank you for having me here today. I'm here to talk about the CPCRB and how we've been doing this year. This has been an interesting year for us. It's actually the first year since I have been chair where we have had 0 complaints at all. And that's 0 complaints, even of the type that, last year we had quite a few complaints that actually turned out not to be complaints. People were looking for other things. This year we have not received any at all. So we have been focusing on training. And then I think the next thing that we will be working on once we've completed the training that we are doing right now is going to be finalizing our policies and procedures. So we have quite a few that we've identified that we want to be working on. I wanted to mention before we get there, we do still have one opening for an alternate from the town of Austining. I know, you all have to kind of coordinate that. But we definitely would love, if anybody is watching and is in the unincorporated part of the town of Austining still does need an alternate member. But so in terms of the policies and procedures that we'll be working on this year, we have a few different things. Probably the biggest one is that we need to come up with the policies and procedures around the mediation provision that we have in the code. So I think that is going to begin as the Corporation Council tells me with putting out a request for qualifications for people who could be on that list of mediators that we can call upon. I imagine that is probably something that the board would end up having to do on our behalf. But we'll look for that list of mediators. And then Corporation Counsel Kahan has agreed to share with us some examples of the way that these mediation procedures work in other municipalities that have that. And then the other part of it, which is probably a little bit less intensive, is just writing down the rules and the policies and procedures that we have come up with over time. We have a lot of situations where, for example, when a complaint comes in, we being Stuart, send a letter to the complainant to let them know that we've received the complaint. Once it's been adjudicated, another letter goes out to let them know that that has happened. We are doing those things. We just haven't written it all down into a document and formalized it. So that's going to be the other part of how we are proceeding. Yeah, and those are really the biggest things right now for the remainder of the year.
Great. So I'm going to open it up for any questions or comments. I'll just start from my left and then we'll go. But before we do that, you're the chair. And just if you could, how many people are on the committee? Okay. And who else is on there?
I believe we have 5 total from the village of Austining, and then we have 1 representative from the town of
And
Austining.
who else attends your meetings on a regular basis? Stuart, do you attend?
I have not attended the recent meetings, which have been the training sessions that
Ah,
have been done
okay.
here.
Got it.
If they were meetings dealing with complaints, I would certainly be at those meetings.
Great.
Yeah. And even if we have meetings, that where we're not dealing with complaints, but we're also not training, Stuart generally attends those.
Okay.
And the deputy mayor is often there as well.
Okay, as liaison, I think, right?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. So let me start from the left, Tom, if there are any questions or comments.
I don't have any questions, but thank you for stepping up and taking this job on.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you. Happy that us not out of 5, a lot of the training is going to be done.
Yes.
So next on it. In regards to how will that look like?
Yeah, so probably the main focus will be on getting all of those policies and procedures squared away. So writing down the things that we have established and just haven't actually formalized. And then coming up with the policies and procedures around the mediation process. I am not sure, to be honest, how long that piece of it will take. But I imagine afterwards, if we still have time, we will definitely be able to find ways to fill that time. Theoretically, I would imagine another complaint would come in at some point throughout the year, and then we would be reviewing that. But to be honest, most of the complaints that we get are rather minor. So those don't end up taking a lot of our time anyway.
Dana?
Hi, Jennifer. Good to see
Hello.
you. Thank you for leading this this board. I know it's one of this RCPCRB is one of the first of its kind, I think, in the county, and it was established quite a few years ago. So it's always good to see it changing and adapting, and also it's good to see that you don't have as much to do. It sounds awful, but knock on Formica. But so thanks. And you guys don't have any interaction with the police advisory committee, do you? Are they totally separate? They're totally separate, right?
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll
Uh,
let the
so-
liaison or Jennifer answer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm a member as chair of the CPCRB, and also Jim Burnett, who kind of joined the PRAC while I took like a maternity leave also from my volunteer activities as well when I had a child last year, 2 years ago. He is also a member of the PRAC
Okay.
as well.
Well, there's a little bit of overlap, but not.
Yeah, in terms of duties, we don't necessarily overlap. But if there are policies that the PRAC would be looking to implement that would have to do with the CPCRB, that's kind of why Jim and I are there. And so we would probably have a lot of involvement in that.
Thanks.
Saving the deputy mayor / liaison.
Thank you. Well, manage your expectations. So thank you, Jennifer, for serving as chair and for the work that the committee does. Similar to the Board of Ethics, I'm happy to hear that things are quiet and nothing is happening. This is the second kind of situation that we've had. They also had 0 kind of cases to look at. So as you are continuing to evaluate training, certainly, and then evaluate the policies, I certainly am excited to be there as a resource. The times when I am not there, it's usually when there is a complaint, because I cannot be there when there is a complaint. And the other times if there's training or other things. And so, but I'm always happy to serve as a resource and to be supportive of you all. So I appreciate the dedication, and I'll speak with the supervisor about getting a town alternate as well.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a couple of areas where town folks are needed, and so we try to stay on top of that. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all volunteers. Everybody's busy, having children, raising children, jobs, all sorts of stuff. We just have to remind the public these are volunteer positions, and we're very happy that we have, about 13 committees, and for the most part are full. That's a lot of people, except for situations where they're by design, where you could be on both committees. Most of them can't be on more than one. So it's a lot of people representing the community. So we really appreciate. I have nothing to add except thank you, for doing what you're doing, and bring that back, I hope, to the committee. And I think it's an interesting year. You started by saying it's an interesting year, but it's also, there's a new chief of police. 2-3 weeks ago, or is it a month ago, we brought on new members of the police force. So there's a big turnover, and those are both challenges and opportunities. And also we recently promoted some folks. So there's just like stuff going on. And I think they're all good things, but there are also opportunities for everybody to sort of, for all the boats to rise together. So I appreciate your volunteerism, the work that everybody's doing, the big community. And thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you for being here tonight.
I do also just want to mention, the chief was our investigator before he was chief.
Oh, that's right.
And he had been doing the trainings, which he's very good at. He clearly, knows policing. But he's been really generous with his time, even since becoming chief. The last time he wasn't able to make it for the entire training, but he came in after he had been doing, other like chief work. And joined the training with us, even though it was covered. And that's just something that we really appreciate. So thank you, Chief Zimmerman, for that.
We're grateful for that. Thank you. And I'm glad you finally found parking. So yay.
Yeah, I took your advice. So
Thank you.
there's a note on my car.
Good. I appreciate that. Say hello to everybody, and thank you for being.
All right. Thank you.
Fantastic. Corporation Counsel, Stuart Kahan.
Thank you, Sue. And thank you, Jennifer, for the presentation. Folks, tonight, it's somewhat apropos. It is May 1st, which is Law Day. And we
It's Law Day. How did I miss that in my announcements?
well,
I thought it was
I
May
guess
Day.
it's-
You're right.
I guess, well, if we were in a different country, we might, but it's not. We've had missiles going down the middle of the road, but we don't do that. It's apropos because we not only had a public hearing on a local law, there will be 2 resolutions tonight to adopt revisions to local laws, as well as a resolution to call for a public hearing on another local law. Actually, Law Day is about 64 years old today. So first was in 1957. And one of the things that makes you think, particularly because we're in the courthouse doing this, is everyone who touches the law within this village and deals with it on a daily basis. And as I was thinking about it, it's virtually every department that we deal with and everyone that people deal with. Most obviously the police, the building department, DPW, but clearly finance, Section 8, recreation and parks, fire department, all deal with the law in some way as it affects the folks in the village of Ossining. So it's important just to remember how really important it is that we have these different laws, many of which people will disagree with, and sometimes I read them and wonder who wrote that. Then I realize I was one of the authors, and I just go, oh, that's what I meant. But it's I just thought it's important to just mention that it is Law Day today. We have the great advantage of being in a courtroom in what is, I believe, one of the busiest justice courts in the state of New York. With regard to the number of cases, we have 3 active judges. And I know that the court calendar for Monday's code enforcement calendar is 8 pages long and is lengthy, and that will then be followed by a parking calendar. So to all the folks who are involved with any aspect of laws within this village, and that goes from OPD to my deputy to all the other folks in all the other departments, a heartfelt thanks from Corporation Counsel. Thank you.
Wonderful. Police Chief Aaron Zimmerman.
Oh, well, thank you, Jennifer. It's been a nice run. Past 5 years, I was the lead investigator for all the civilian complaints that came through the OPD. Been very nice training everybody, and I've got no problems continuing that. But got to bring some new people up, and won't leave you bad hands, that's for sure. But if there's anything you guys ever need, just please know, and more than happy to reciprocate. Thankfully, knock on linoleum, I haven't had any complaints this year. Just to touch on what the chair said, even last year, we had 5 complaints came in, and out of the 5 complaints, 1 was unreviewable due to the statute had run out. 1 was unfounded, 1 finding, 1 was withdrawn, and the other one there was no offense because it was not really a complaint. But sometimes comes in as we've had some complaints come in that are on actual complaint forms, but it turns out to be a FOIL request, or or a request for police services or something like that. So, if complaint forms are for complaints against former officer in the department or the department itself, any confusion out there, please reach out and we can guide you in the right direction. That more than happy to keep the court busy. So you, Stuart. And we just finished up some training for all of our first line supervisors, all of the first line supervisors, AKA sergeants, and also lieutenants went through some leadership training for leaders. That was a good seminar that we Feeding Westchester was here yesterday as our once a month visit. Yesterday, we handed out 6,000 pounds of food to families in need and those that are deserving. That's not a record. We did set a record earlier in the year with 14,000 pounds. So it is, from talking to the Feeding Westchester folks, pound for pound, Ossining is one of the busiest and hubs for food distribution county. So the people of Feeding Westchester really appreciate what we do. And as I know, the residents that are in need that about. The weather's getting warmer, which means some quality of life things might be coming up. Just a reminder for anyone listening, can't drink in the street, can't smoke in the parks. And please remember to keep your radios turned down when you're driving down the street, even though you're enjoying the nice weather. Try to keep your stereo volumes to a minimum. With the SLA inspections, some summonses, some referrals were made over the weekend. Don't park on the sidewalks.
Okay.
You left one out though. We have the emission rule too, right? You're not to
idle.
idle your cars.
Oh.
Did we
Right.
not pass that?
No idling over 3 minutes and modified exhausts. If
Right.
didn't
Because
come
people
from
with
the
the air
dealership,
conditioning like to do that. Yeah.
no good.
Thank
Yes,
you.
that's it.
Organizational announcements. Is there anyone in our live stream that would like to have an organizational announcements? And they must be event related only and cannot be more than 2 minutes.
No, there is not.
Thank you. Moving on. Public comment on agenda items. Visitors are accorded a 4-minute opportunity to address the board on any of the resolutions on the agenda. Is there anyone that is there for that?
There is not.
How many people are on one?
Visitor recognition. Visitors are allowed a 3-minute opportunity to address the board on issues not relating to the agenda, but relevance to the common good of the village. Is there anyone that wishes to do that?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Moving on to Village Board Resolutions, approval of minutes, April 17th, 2024. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of April 17th, 2024 at the regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any comments? Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of voucher detail. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated May 1st, 2024 in the amount of $1,136,733.18. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Negative declaration zoning amendments. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Ossining located in Westchester County, New York is proposing zoning amendments which would amend Chapter 270. And whereas the proposed action would affect all zoning districts in the Village of Ossining, now therefore be it resolved that the Village Board hereby that pursuant with the Article 8 of the State Environmental Conservation Law and 6 NYCRR Part 617, and based on a review of the EAF Parts 1 and 2, all application materials, required referrals, and consultant reports that were prepared for this action, the Village Board adopts a negative declaration in connection to the project. And do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Just as comments, Stuart, you want to do
Yeah,
a,
what
a like 2 seconds in English kind of
Yes, Mayor.
explanation?
This relates to the next resolution, which is the adoption of some amendments to the code, particularly the zoning code, where you have an amendment like that. It requires what is called a SECRA determination, State Environmental Quality Review Act. This is what is considered an unlisted action. You may have heard of type 1, type 2, and unlisted. This is unlisted. Therefore, it goes through a modified process. There are environmental assessment forms, part 1 and 2, which were completed, but basically these changes will have no environmental impact. And as a result, it is a negative declaration that is being issued by this board in connection with the next resolution.
Okay, we're in the middle of a vote. Sue?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adoption of Local Law 3, 2024, a local law amending Chapter 122, excavations, 233, subdivision of land, and 270 zoning in the Village of Ossining Code. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining, the Village Board, has been considering the adoption of Local Law 3, 2024, entitled the local law amending chapters 122 excavations and 233 subdivision of land and 270 zoning for the Village of Ossining Code. And whereas the proposed amendments would remove revised procedures relations to excavation and fill permits, allow for lot mergers to be handled administratively, extend time to obtain signatures on a conditional plot, and revise the zoning chapter to include new zoning overlay districts, revise extensions to site plan approvals, and delete duplication sections. And whereas the Village Board on May 1st adopted the negative declaration regarding the proposed amendment, and whereas in pursuant with Section 270-59, the proposed amendment to Chapter 270 was referred to the Village of Ossining Planning Board for a report, which report was provided. And whereas a public hearing of the proposed law was held on March 20th, 2024, where members of the public were able to participate both in person and via Zoom platform, as well as submitting written communications to the Board of Trustees. And whereas the public hearing was closed on March 20th, 2024, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby adopts local law I apologize, 3, I'm going to do an amended here, 3-24, and directs the local law to be filed and distributed in accordance to the applicable law. And be it further resolved that pursuant with the New York Village Law Section 7-706, parentheses 5, the text of the local law shall be entered into the minutes of the Village Board of the Village Board, and be it further resolved that the local law 3-2024 shall become effective upon filing with the Secretary of State pursuant with the Municipal Home Rule Law. Do I have a motion to do the amended resolution?
So move.
Second?
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, roll call, apologize. Yes, and I even have it down, roll call. Trustee Fritchie,
Aye.
trustee White,
Aye.
trustee Casada,
Aye.
deputy mayor Lopez,
Aye.
and Mayor Levin.
Aye.
Excellent. Sorry about that. Do another one. Adoption of local law 4/2024, a local law amending chapter 162, housing, property maintenance, and building code administration for the Village of Austin Code. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin, Village Board, has been considering the adoption of a proposed local law 224 entitled a local law amending chapter 162, housing, property maintenance, and building code administration for the Village of Austin Code, and whereas a public hearing was conducted on April 17th, 2024 at 7:30 PM at the Berzel-Fagan Police Court Facility, 8688 Spring Street, Austin, New York, and via Zoom platform afforded members of the public an opportunity to be heard, and whereas the public hearing was closed on April 17th, 2024, whereas there is no impediments to approving the proposed local law, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby adopts local law 4/2024, a local law amending chapter 162, housing, property maintenance, and building code administration, and directs that said local law will be filed and distributed in accordance with the applicable law, and be it further resolved that local law 4/24 shall become effective upon filing with the Secretary of State pursuant with municipal law home rule law. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Roll call again. Trustee Fritchie,
Aye.
trustee White,
Aye.
trustee Casada,
Aye.
deputy mayor Lopez,
Aye.
and Mayor Levin.
Aye.
Okay. Call for a public hearing. Local law 2024 entitled a local law amending chapter 147, food establishments. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby calls for a public hearing to take place at 7:30 PM on May 15th, 2024 at the Berzel-Fagan Police Court Facilities, 8688 Spring Street, Austin, New York, to consider a proposed local law 2024 entitled the local law amending chapter 147, food establishment, and the Village of Austin Code, and be it resolved that the proposed local law amends the definition of refreshment business and adds new definitions to it. Resolved, oh. Wait, hold on. Resolved that the members of the public are invited to attend the public hearing in person at the above referenced location, and be it further resolved that the members of the public requiring a reasonable accommodation to participate in the public hearing due to a person's disability shall notify Corporation Counsel no later than 7 days prior to the public hearing at kahan@villageofaustin.org to afford the village significant time to provide reasonable accommodations, and therefore be it resolved that the members of the public who want to attend, participate the public hearing remotely, access will be available via the Zoom platform, and be it further resolved that any comments regarding the proposed local laws will be accepted by the Board of Trustees at villageofaustin.org. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments? No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Georgetown Communication. Oh, Goosetown. I apologize. I don't know why I say Georgetown. Goosetown Communications. Resolved that following review of Corporation Counsel, the village manager is authorized to sign the proposal from Goosetown Communication, 58 North Harrison Avenue, Congress, New York, 10920, February 9th, 2024. The Village of Austin paging system upgrade to UHF for $30,275 labor. March 19th, 2024, Village Austin Fire Department, paging system upgrade to UHF, $21,630.12, equipment and materials. March 19th, 2024, Austin Fire Department amp speakers, $2,867.87, and February 7th, 2024, the Austin Fire Department amp speakers at $5,600 for labor. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments? I mean, this sounds like upgrades to a bunch of different systems in our structure.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution declaring certain village-owned vehicles as surplus. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby declares the following vehicle as surplus equipment and authorizes their disposal in accordance to New York State law by sale or otherwise as is pursuant with the village's agreement with Auctions International, Inc. A 2009 Mack truck, and a 2014 Ford Taurus. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any comments?
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any continuing business of the board? Is there any new business of the board? Do I have a motion to adjourn, to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? All right, Sue.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight. One of our shorter meetings makes up for some of our longer meetings. I thank you for being here. It's 8:11 and we will be on again for regular business next Wednesday. Have a good evening.